From the studios of Chillicothe High School, this is your CAVS News Show.
Good evening, CAVS News fans. I'm Marcus Conrad.
And I'm Tori King, bringing you a brand new CAVS News update.
It's February, and you know what that means. It's time to honor Black history, watch Groundhog get scared of its own shadow, celebrate two of our former presidents' birthdays, and get all lovey-dovey for Valentine's Day.
But before we get started, let's go to Anthony's side of the studio for this week's Did You Know?
Hello everyone. So how about this weather? No, I'm not just making small talk. This week's Did You Know is going to be about the weather. Now, the way I see it, Mother Nature isn't quite sure what season it is. When everyone is expecting half a foot of snow, we get rain. But after every warm day, Mother Nature kindly reminds us that it is technically winter. You gotta love Ohio. But no matter what, we can never forget our magical little friend, the groundhog. Now, the groundhog, according to the Germans, comes out of his hole every February 2nd. And according to the Germans, whether or not the groundhog sees his shadow determines if the rest of the winter will be mild or harsh. But we think of it a little bit differently here in the good old US of A. For us, when the groundhog, more specifically Puxatawny Phil, sees his shadow, we like to say that there will be an extra 6 weeks of winter. Now here's an extra little fact for you. This year, Jimmy the Groundhog of Wisconsin bit the mayor of Sun Prairie's ear. That's gotta hurt. But no matter who you are, or what kind of magical little critter you look to predict your weather, and no matter how feisty they are, you can be sure that Did You Know will always be there to bring you some titillating facts on the subject. That's all for this week. I'm Anthony Pulikowski. Now back to Marcus and Tori in the studio.
Thanks, Anthony. Speaking of groundhogs, it looks like Buckeye Chuck did see his own shadow, so it looks like we'll be seeing more winter in the future. But on the other hand, that gives us more time to listen to our music. With that being said, let's jump to Logan for some culture shock.
Everybody worried about my life. Never asked me if I wanted to try. Never asked me if I wanted to die. And then let's cry. If I make music, it's just like therapy to me, to be honest. I feel like if I didn't make music, all my emotions and anger would somehow get balled up and I wouldn't be able to control them in any other way, really. Take from it, if anything, I would want them to be able to see that somebody else is experiencing something that they're experiencing as well. Because a lot of my music, it's just like, it's stories. Like, I haven't experienced it at all. Like, I have a song about a lady going through a decision of abortion or not and stuff like that because she's in love and she doesn't want her husband to be upset. It's just because it's just stories, and hopefully people can relate to them and realize that they're not the only one going through it. It makes me happy. For a long time, I thought that I was gonna play basketball because I thought that I wasn't smart enough to do anything else, and you know that was gonna be my way to get into college, hopefully. And my dad's like 6 foot, and I planned to be like 6'5" and be a giant and stuff like that, and it didn't happen that way. And after my grandmother passed, and I just realized that music is something that I always had. It's just I had thrown away because I wanted to pursue something else. And now that it's come to me in such a time of need, I feel like I just owe myself to dedicate my life to it. God's willing, hopefully I'll be attending Berklee College of Music in Boston, so fingers crossed for that, basically. And to be honest, because I love it so much, if I was at the point where I went to Berklee, graduated from there, and for however many years I had to eat bologna sandwiches, but at night I got to play my music and have a crowd and just listen to it and they like it and dig it, I'd be totally fine with that. When you start writing music, it's something that you felt at one time, I feel. If you can portray that and say, this is how I felt, and I let it go, and now it's what it is, and I don't want to change it because that's how I felt, and it's perfect because it's what I felt and not what anybody told me to do or what anybody else made. Me as a writer, I'll write something and then sit down on it for like 2-3 months because I don't want it to be rushed. Because it's art, it's a craft, and you know, for not just me and for anybody who makes music. They put their time into it, and basically when they share their music, it's a part of them that they want you to see, and however way you take it, then that's a part of the art that it is. Well, for my very cliche advertisement, Schlegel's every third Friday of the month, 7 to 9 if you feel like grooving out to that.
I make music because I love music and I love entertaining people, and I just want to make people laugh. I want to make them, I want to tell them stories, and I just want to make them feel things, you know what I mean? And I think that music is one of the best ways that you can do that. I wouldn't say it's a hobby, but I'm not necessarily going for music. I want to be an actor, first off, and I want to be in films, and I want to be on Broadway and things like that. But I would not be unsatisfied at all if I become a musician or a songwriter. I hope that somebody hears it. You know, I hope that it reaches somebody, because there's a lot of emotions that go on in my music and a lot of messages that I'm guessing a lot of people are feeling, and I'd love for them to hear it. Well, the lessons that I usually put in my songs are, well, you need to be yourself. You need to love yourself. You need to love others. There are some things about religion in my music, and I hope that people think when they listen to my music. Not just that if it's a goofy song, oh, they're just being goofy. I mean, we're kind of just saying be yourself, man. You know what I mean? And if I'm making a song about love, I want you to, I'm just telling you a story. You know, I want you to, if you've ever been in that type of situation, to feel what I'm going through, you know? I started making music with my friends. We were just goofing off on a microphone that we had in my house. And then I got a couple of different softwares that you can make music with. And we started making just funny stuff. Then a friend who wasn't on these songs said, wow, this is actually pretty good, man. And I said, yeah, right then. And he was just like, well, you're a singer, first and foremost, but you're also a rapper. You could use both of these things, plus you make really good, you make really good instrumentals. You could actually make good music. And I thought to myself, well, I've written poetry before. I mean, why can't I just use the feelings that I had in my poetry to make really challenging music for myself? There's really no right or wrong way to make music. I have a role model. His name is Giovanni Giorgio. And Giovanni Giorgio said one time, he said, once you forget about the concepts of harmony and music being correct, you can do whatever you want. When it comes to making music, you should never judge a book by its cover. For one thing, like I don't really call myself anything. I call myself a music artist. I engineer sound. I play keyboard. I rap and I sing. And I just call myself an artist because if you label yourself, it usually is just, oh, that's what kind of music they make. They're not the best type of person that makes that type of music. Or, oh, they're just a carbon copy of whatever they're doing. And everybody's unique. Everybody's unique in the way that they do what they do. And everybody does something better than somebody else. But if you start making music, you can be the best at making that type of music as long as you work hard on it. I just released an album. Most people are calling it a mixtape, but I call it an album. And you can get it on bandcamp.com, where I'm streaming it for free. Or you can talk to me. I usually have a copy on me. I'm selling them for $5. And they have collectible lyric sheets if you like that type of thing. But also, if you want to listen to me do anything live, you can always come and watch me on this stage, because I do everything that goes on in the CHS auditorium when it comes to a play or a musical, except for one or two every year. I try to keep myself busy.
Thanks, Logan. That was some pretty interesting stuff. But in other news, this past weekend, the Chillicothe cheerleading squad went to the Ohio State University for a competition and got second place. There were 3 teams in Chillicothe's divisions, which were Oak Hill, Chillicothe, and Tays Valley. Our goal was to get first place, but also beat Tays Valley, which the cheerleaders achieved. The cheerleaders' next competition is regionals on the 8th, then going for the state title on March 1st.
That's nice to know, actually, but I believe that's all the time we have for this week's show. I'm Marcus Conrad.
And I'm Tori King. Have a wonderful day and see you in the next CAVS News Update.